All right, it's our live lunch show. It's the end of the first session of the second test. Well, about 15 minutes ago, Paul, maybe 20 minutes ago, I was like, this could be a cracking session for the Aussies, losing one wicket, 100 runs on the board, and then what do you know? Calamity towards the end. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, firstly, anyone who doesn't like cricket is an idiot. That was fantastic. That was such good entertainment, that first 2 hours of play. It's so nice to see a big crowd. The atmosphere looks just superb. Menners were crazy to not be there. You know, we've got to put a black mark against both of our names. We should be there in Delhi. But anyway, I just thought that was highly entertaining. Skillful bowling. The Aussies were chancing their arm. They had a bit of luck. And as you say, I was reminded there's, in the Bodyline miniseries, when in one of the test matches, it might have been the fourth test, where a few of the Australians started getting runs, and Norman May in the Bodyline series says, and it is the moment that the Australians conquer Bodyline. And you sort of think, no, that's not going to be the case. It felt a bit that way. Like, I always felt we're on borrowed time here. I didn't expect to lose Smith and Labuschagne and then Smith in such quick succession. And then for a second, when Khawaja got given out and thankfully was overturned, it looked like an absolute calamity. When the dust has settled, I still think it wasn't too bad a session for the Aussies, because I think this pitch really is going to start to spin. And yes, I'm not sure that we're going to be doing a lunch on day 5 show, put it that way.
No, don't even think we'll be doing a lunch on day 4 show at this rate, to be honest. So look, let's go back to the beginning of the day. Look, I think it became apparent in the lead up to this match that Green and Stark actually weren't going to be fit. You could sort of read between the lines with what the coach and the captain was saying. It was clear they were just a bit short, and the press and reporting that basically they didn't want to risk Green, and Stark's fingers just not quite there yet. It would be uncomfortable for him batting, probably a little bit of a risk in the field. So Green and Stark weren't chosen, and instead Renshaw was dropped and Head came in. I think it was the right decision, but they haven't done Renshaw any favors. They pick him for one test and say he's a great player of spin. He fails and they chuck him out. So overall, I mean, they've completely stuffed this up by dropping Head in the first place.
Yeah, there's a bit to unpack there. I think, look, if Stark and Green weren't fit, then that's fine. If Green could have batted but not bowled, I still would have wanted him in there, but maybe he wasn't right to do either. And look, I think what I'll say is it was a mistake for them to pick Renshaw, and you're right, they have treated him poorly, but I'm at least happy enough that they were willing to sort of swallow their pride and leave themselves open to the criticism that you've just given them. By picking Head. They've sort of implicitly acknowledged that they got that wrong. Well, I'd rather them acknowledge that they got it wrong and pick what they think is the best side for the second test, rather than sort of defend themselves by their own selection. So, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, look, I guess if you were to pin them on it, they would say it probably came down to Renshaw and Hanscom, and they just went for the right-hander, which does make some sense.
Oh, if you pin them down on it, you'd probably get one of the great answers that selection panels normally get. They just pull some, we've realised that some metric that we've never talked about before. In the nets, we found that Travis suddenly started to do such and such, and Renshaw wasn't. So, okay, great. You've just invented
it'd be something like, we value Travis's skill set at this wicket more, and we've had a look at the conditions, and we just think he'll be a better bet.
Yeah, we always
that's
thought
no slight on Renshaw.
The soil in Delhi was always going to be better suited to Travis Head than it was to Matt Renshaw or something like
that. So that's fine. And then they've taken a big risk. They've dropped Scott Boland and they've brought in Matt Kuhnemann, the Queensland left-arm finger spinner who played against Sri Lanka in some one-day international cricket last year. So, I mean, that's the big risk they've taken. They've gone in with Cummins and 3 spinners, Lyon, Murphy, Kuhnemann. I guess had Green been fit, it's much better because he can bat at 6 instead of Hanscom and take the new ball. You know what this does leave the possibility for, Paul? If they don't want to open with this.
I know what you're going to say. What? Let's see how in tune we are. Are you going to say we're going to see Marnus Labuschagne opening the bowling seam up?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Oh God! Look, I knew we were meant to be when we were like smashing Finch for that semi-final innings in 2015. But we could see Marnus. Like we were all making fun of him bowling medium pace. He could have the new ball with Pat Cummins in a Test match.
Yeah, again, I don't know why I'm quoting the Bodyline series, but Stan McCabe opened the bowling for Australia during the Bodyline Test series. He's a bit similar, a very fine batter, but not really someone who should be bowling too much seam up stuff. Look, I think that they'd probably be aware of the optics of that, so I think we'll probably see not Lyon or Murphy opening, I reckon.
Yeah, I think Cummins will be aware that if they do that, Marnus will be so annoying in the dressing room for the rest of the tour. He'll be calling himself an opening bowler. He'll be writing to Crick Info saying, you've got to add, opening fast bowler to my profile, all that kind of thing. But look, I have to say, thrilled with the Kuhnemann selection. I'm going to pump my own tires here, but I was at a Big Bash game a few weeks ago, and I said, "Why isn't Kuhnemann in India?" And for once, George Bailey listened to me.
Listened.
It's like never happens. So I'm curious how his bowling goes under the spotlight of international cricket, under the microscope of international cricket. Obviously a much sterner test than playing domestic cricket, but he's a sort of fast. He bowls into the pitch. He doesn't give it a huge amount of air. He gives it a bit of a rip. He bowls a bit more side spin. And what I saw at the SCG, I thought, God, if he could just go into India and do that, he'd get enough variation off the pitch. But it's going to be a big test against the Indian batters, no doubt.
It will be, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. Look, I mean, I'm not saying it's a perfectly selected side by any means, but I think I do admire the fact that they've said, let's not have an extra fast bowler. Let's go with the spinners. I agree with you. The style of his bowling looks like it could succeed in Indian conditions. If you're ever going to succeed, this looks like the sort of pitch that spin will be favoured on, and you're going to do well on. So, yeah, the big concern I've got though is that our tail starts probably at number 8. I think Cummins is batting so badly of late that I think I'd class him as genuinely part of the tail. I thought it was very generous. The graphics on the TV have listed him as an all-rounder. They've got bat and seam next to him. I think that he looks good as a batter, but he just doesn't score any runs. So that's a big concern that we are kind of like 7 out, 6 out, and we're starting to be in a right amongst the tail.
Yes, Pat Cummins did say in the lead up to this match that he thinks it's important that the tail contributes with the bat, even if it's a quick 20.
Oh, okay, then that's fine. It'll be all good then. Great.
No, but I wonder if he'll come out and actually be more aggressive, because
he should.
What I've seen in Test cricket, he just sort of puts his foot down the wicket. I want to see Pat Cummins that we saw in the IPL, where he's hitting like 5 sixes in an over, and just go out there and throw the long handle. He's a big strapping lad, great fella. Just smash him.
Absolutely. He and Lyon should both go out and play like that. I mean, obviously, if the conditions of the match might change that, but all things being equal, Cummins should dead set go out there and play it like it's a T20, and Lyon should do the same and just play with his normal freedom, rather than they should be playing very, very few defensive shots. A good quick 20, as you say. That's what we want from them.
And I agree about the long tail. When Khawaja was given out LBW in that last couple of overs before the lunch break, I thought, well, we could be clearly bowled out after lunch. I mean, you get past Hanscom and you're right into the tail. So then looking at the Indian team selection, they are very much about hierarchy, and it would have served Australia well to have thought the same going into the first test, kind of like the way Justin Langer used to think. Surya Kumar Yadav was dropped, and not dropped. Iyer has come back from injury, so Shreyas Iyer has replaced Yadav. So that's fine.
That's fine. But again, there's no need for hierarchies or anything like that. You just pick your best 11, and they are big boys. They will deal with it. I've got no problem with Shreyas Iyer being brought back in. He did really well in the series against Bangladesh, so that's absolutely fine. But this notion of a hierarchy, there's no hierarchy. Just pick your best 11.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I was in their best 11 for the first test, but he just wasn't fit.
I know, but if they had suddenly, if Surya Kumar Yadav had scored 200 in the first test and batted like Bradman, then if they had then said, oh, because of the hierarchy, we're going to pick Iyer, that would have been the wrong thing to do. Don't have artificial constraints over your selection, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree broadly that you shouldn't drop someone after they score a double hundred, unless you're Jason Gillespie. So, yeah, congratulations to Cheteshwar Pujara playing his 100th Test match. Just such a fine player, a classic Test batter, someone as an Australian I really admire, someone who's frustrated me, and what a stunning career he's had. And I was actually I used to just tune on last summer and just watch him playing county cricket. He was just smashing hundreds for fun. So, yeah, congratulations, a fine career.
Yeah, and if it was against any other side than Australia, I'd be very keen for him to get 100 in this match, because I think he's probably under a little bit of pressure, hasn't had the same output over the last couple of years. You feel that his Test career is coming to an end. I like him as well. I'd like it to continue, but not in this series.
No, I don't mind if he gets a pair in his 100th Test. If he does a David Warner and scores a double 100 in 100th Test, then yeah, good luck, Australia. Just a couple of things to note. Ravi Jadeja has 249 Test wickets, so he almost had his 250th. Ravi Ashwin is now on 99 Border Gavaskar Trophy Test wickets, so another thorn in Australia's side. I would say of the 99, 89 have been in India,
David
but
Warner.
Still, what?
89 have been David Warner.
Siraj is on 47 Test wickets. So a few stats for the Indian fans to look out for. And let's get into the action. Australia lost their first wicket at 50, but that doesn't tell the whole story. David Warner, what was he? Dropped. He was given out and overturned. He was hit in the head twice. It was one of the scratchiest innings I've seen from any batter. Reminded me of when Ponting and maybe Steve Waugh really struggled at the end.
Yes and no. I mean, I think it's that sort of pitch, though. The problem is that Warner has got himself into this position now where that innings, unless he scores runs in the second innings or unless Australia win this game, then I think his position, this could well be his last ever Test match, I think. And you're right, it looked pretty ugly. It's funny, when he ended up getting out, it was a good ball from Shami, but it was kind of the ball that I think at Warner at his peak, he sort of went back to one that was maybe he could have come forward to in Indian conditions, nicked it through to the keeper. It was a good ball. I think he'd be frustrated having got out to that, but it was captivating when he was having those little duel with Ashwin, because he was like a cat on a hot tin roof. You didn't know what was going to happen. Khawaja, to an extent, the same. He hit a lofted six off Ashwin almost out of desperation. So, as I said, that's what it was just highly watchable cricket the whole way through. But yeah, I was disappointed when Warner got out. I was just disappointed for him.
Yeah, so it started off in the first over. Warner was given out on the last ball of the over, I think LBW, and then it was overturned with the little inside edge that saved him. No, sorry, it was was an inside edge. Yeah, an edge. That's it. And so I thought, God, he's out for a duck, and then I thought, well, he might score 100 here, but no, certainly not. It was ugly to watch. I thought Khawaja was a bit streaky, but I love the intent. He realised the only way he's going to score runs is to just go after these guys. And, there was a few edges, a few, French cuts. But apart from that, he was positive. He rotated the strike. I wouldn't say he looked good against the spin, but I liked his approach. It seems like he's settled on how he's going to attack them.
Yep.
And then Marnus came out. And then Marnus came out and he got to 18 off 24. And I thought, he's looking okay here. He and Khawaja, we were 1 for 90. We were 1 for 91. It was about 10 minutes before lunch. I'm like, giddy up. This is going to be a session to really turn things around. And then he's out LBW to Ashwin after it was reviewed. I thought, again, just another classic Aussie getting out in India, pushing forward to a ball, not to the pitch of it. And yeah, it was a good ball, but boy, I can see why Marnus was upset when he strolled off.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that I can see why the umpire gave it not out, because live you thought, oh, that was very close to whether it hit him in line or not. wasn't a good sign, I don't think, the fact that they showed during the review Steve Smith getting up and getting his helmet ready as though he was ready to walk out. I was hoping for it to be umpire's call on impact, but as soon as it was a red light on impact, both Marnus and I expressed our disappointment simultaneously before we'd seen where it went at the stumps. Like once it hit him in line, he was only going in one spot, and Marnus threw his head back, and then a second later it was confirmed. But then the worst was yet to come.
Yeah, and just on Marnus, I don't know if we were talking about it on the podcast with Gav or off air, but I think Marnus is one of those players that needs to pretend he doesn't have a pad there and just always get his pad and bat away from the pad and just always look, because just propping forward like that, it's not going to work. These wickets will find him out. So he's got to change that. It's got to be sweeping, get the pad out of the way, because that was a classic Australian defensive shot on our wickets.
Sorry, I just got a message. I had Ian Botham on my ear. He wants me to pass a message on to you. How many runs did you score in Test cricket in India, mate?
Fuck all. All right. So Steve Smith, the hero, comes out. He's out second ball, and I'm an old off spinner, and that was such great tactics from Ashwin, bowling around the wicket across the right hand. Bit of a classic top spinner. Went on with the arm. Wasn't even his sort of doosra. It was just seemed to just go on with the arm, and Smith just got the edge, and I think that was great bowling.
Yeah, it was just all too quick to me because I was trying to squeeze in. I was a bit behind, and I knew we were about to come on here, so it was kind of all happening at once. And then just as I digested Smith's dismissal, it looked like we were going to lose another one. There's a car alarm going off here. I hope you can't hear it.
It sort of vaguely can, but that's part of the excitement of going live at lunchtime. I mean, car alarms in the background. It's like the alarms for Australian cricket, because I'm really nervous about the next session. So, so just after next ball after Smith was out, so it was the first ball of the next over with Jadeja, he wraps Khawaja on the pads, and I actually thought when the umpire, I thought it was going to be out when they reviewed it. So I thought it would just be pitching on, but turned out to be pitching outside leg stump. Khawaja gets a reprieve, ends up getting 50. Jadeja doesn't get his 249th test, 250th test wicket. And that to me could be a really vital point in this match, because as I said, Khawaja goes, then we are stuffed.
I hope that we don't look back on this and think, oh, well, how naive.
Delayed it by 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Just delayed the collapse by 40. They had lunch. Everyone was messaging me, can we just get to lunch?
we might end up having to do an emergency tea broadcast that is like, yeah, India's none for 40 after Australia were bowled out for 100. This is fantastic. Yes, Travis Head is in. I hope he's just going to go hard and play like it's a one-dayer. And I think, a few 30s and 40s, if this total, I'd love us to get 600, but it's not looking all that likely. But I think Shastri in commentary mentioned somewhere 250, north of 250 is a very good score on this pitch. Even if we could get to 200, it would be at least something.
Yeah, it's a tough pitch to bat on, that's for sure. It looks to be up and down already, very bare patches. So Australia's got a real task ahead of it after this lunch break. I wouldn't be surprised if we bowled out by tea. Bowling figures: Mohammad Shami, 6 overs, 1 for 31. Siraj, 6 overs, none for 14. Ravi Ashwin, 10 overs, 2 for 29. He could end up with 9 for the way he's bowling. And Jadeja, 3 overs, none for 11. They'll be fighting for the ball. If you're an Indian spinner, like you would just be the night before, you would be bribing Sharma, like, give me the ball first against these guys. It's like bowling to the whole batting lineup's a tail against spin.
It's like Akshar Patel had no choice but to score 80 himself in the first test, not getting the ball.
Exactly.
I think that I wanted to just before I forgot, why in the last few tours that Australia has played, they haven't been at Delhi for a while, have they? Unless my memory's gone. This is a ground that we should always be playing at. They've got the best part of a sellout today on a working day, and apparently it's sold out Saturday and Sunday. It's very hard to see the Test match going much longer than that. So this is great. This is the sort of atmosphere that Indian reminds me of 2001, and so I'm really enjoying it.
I bet the fans are. India haven't lost there since the 80s. No wonder they turn up. All right, so we'll just go through some comments and questions now from the YouTube chat. Deepak Gupta, 270 to 300 would be a good first inning score. I agree.
Yep.
If Australia gets to that, they're in the game.
Oh, for sure. I'd say even if they got to 220, they're in the game.
And just for everybody watching on YouTube, we do a post-play wrap every day as a podcast only. So if you go to Cricket Unfiltered on all your podcast apps, there'll be an audio-only daily wrap. And then we're going to be doing these live shows when we can in the breaks during the Test match. So yeah, if you haven't, go to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to Cricket Unfiltered. You get late night manners, which is always fun. Mr.
Yes,
Dimri.
true. I remember that.
What?
When Karen Nair got the triple century and then got dropped.
Yes, so it has happened. Amit, this match ending on day 3 post lunch. I agree. Could be a live wrap of the Test match and a live show at lunch. India will win. I am not surprised you are confident. I would be too. Mr. Dimri again. I think this is the best side they could select with the available resources. I don't know about that. You don't want to get us started on the Australian side, but
like, given the way that they go about selecting the sides, I'm actually content with this one. It's not the side I would have picked, but I'm not about to march on Parliament House demanding a change.
Now, Mr. Pranto Biswas, as much I'm disappointed on Andrew, I think that must be McDonald, I am severely annoyed with how this selection committee is working. Clueless AF. Yeah, they have got themselves in a little bit of a twist in this series. Okay, so on our last show, someone replied that we were too harsh on the Indians for being host and reminded me that the Indians had been given substandard sandwiches in preparation for the T20 World Cup. I'm not going to buy into this argument, success failure, because I wasn't there to see the standard of the sandwiches. But what you can do is you can order food on Uber Eats. You cannot order practice wickets on Uber Eats. That's all I'm saying. This is a good question. If Green comes back, Warner is dropped, head opens, and Hanscom survives. It's a good call from 2 slips in a gully. If Green comes back, Gav Joshi floated the fact that he could open, which actually would not be the worst idea. Send him out there to face the new ball with Usman Khawaja and leave Head where he is.
I think wherever Green bats, though, as I say with Cummins, he can't be the Green of scoring 9 off 50. He's got to be the more the white ball Green in these conditions.
Agree. In that T20 series last year, he made those 2 blistering half centuries, and he should do that. Stephen Matlock, should Ashton Agar catch the next flight home? I guess we did gloss over this. Thank you, Stephen, for bringing this up. This is, you talk about the selectors getting their knickers in a twist. So they pick Agar in the SCG test with a view to India. They see what he's done. They consistently trot out this line, yeah, we were happy with what he did. Yeah. They pick him for India. They go there. They haven't picked him in the first 2 Test matches, and they've flown over the same style of bowler, Matt Kuhnemann. I mean, this is bad for Agar. The selectors look like dummies. Maybe Agar should go home.
Yeah, but again, I think that it's good that they are willing to put themselves in that in the line of that criticism. Rather than if they picked him just to say, oh well, we're going to look like idiots if we allow Kuhnemann to jump the queue. Maybe he hasn't been bowling that well in the nets over there. He's someone I would have picked because of, I don't see any enormously brilliant spinners to bring in instead. I mean, Kuhnemann may well do quite well. Look, and should he fly home, the way that things are going, who would have picked Kuhnemann for this Test match? By the time of the 4th Test match, God knows what the Australian side will be.
Well, actually,
maybe Stephen.
George Bailey said that they can bring players over between the second and third tests because there's a big gap. So you never know. Maybe Agar does come home to finish the Shield season and get some red ball bowling. The one thing I will say is, though, after that SCG performance, they should have taken another left-arm finger spinner on the plane. They knew how important that style of bowling was. They absolutely knew that it was going to be vital. Why just take one when the last time he bowled, you weren't happy with? So you don't get in this situation. You take Kuhnemann or you take whoever, but just don't go over there, because Kuhnemann's jumped on a plane, and I hope he does well, but he's up against it.
I agree with you. They should have taken another spinner, but I don't think that you should read too much into the performance in Sydney, because the conditions were not necessarily the same. Left arm finger spin bowling in Australia very rarely succeeds, other than the odd bowler. The thing is, I think that they picked him in Sydney for the wrong reasons. If they're picking him with a view to the Indian tour, that was silly. You're just going to destroy confidence. But yeah, they should have had Kuhnemann in the squad initially if they brought him across now.
So to answer Stephen's question, most likely Agar should just come home.
No,
that's.
Hey, all right, before we go, I just want to have one little bone to pick with you. For those of you who did hear our last show, I made the point that I think that Nathan Lyon should be dropped. And then, because I knew this would get cut and put onto TikTok, I made a specific point of saying, I sincerely hope that I am wrong, and that when you then can play this again, you can sort of laugh at me. That bit was cut when it actually went onto TikTok, and it's basically me just saying, I want Lyon out of the side. So I'm now in the invidious position where, of course, I want Lyon to take wickets, but every wicket he takes, I know that everyone on TikTok's going to be piling on. So I don't like to have conflicted feelings like that, Minutes.
Well, I didn't make that TikTok, but yeah, I do. I have noticed you are more sensitive than I am. Like, when you get a bit of blowback, you take it very personally. Whereas
that's because you live for it and you say things just to be.
I absolutely not. I speak passionately and from the heart. And I think your point. There was a lot of people that agreed with you. Like, it was probably half agreed with you, but the other half, you just got to let it go.
I don't like being misrepresented, because I actually added that extra line in with the point of that being on TikTok. And you're the one who had to mute notifications when you put the Jadeja video up.
But that's not being sensitive. It's just like, okay, I need to clear my notification center. But I think anyway, I don't want to go into it. It's a great post. Well done, muggers. And look, support. No, Paul, you were right about Lyon. So just stick to your guns, buddy.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I maintain that even if he takes 10 wickets, I still think it was the right thing to do. But I just wanted the nuance to come through. Anyway.
Yes, yeah. TikTok's not for nuance. I mean,
true.
The last platform you should look for nuance in. All right. Well, on that note, thanks everybody for watching our live lunchtime YouTube show. As I said, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, do it. Find us on your favorite podcast app for today's review, because could be a lot to talk about with Australia poised to either get bowled out or attack the bowling. There's going to be no in between. This is not going to be a poke around job. So I can't wait, actually. So we should log off. And
last question before we go. We're 3 out now. If you were given the notion that we would be 7 out at tea, would you accept that, or would you rather just let's see what happens?
7 out. Would I take 7 out now? No, absolutely not. I want Head to score 100 off 50 balls and do something that really makes Bailey and McDonald and Cummins look like idiots. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to log off. Thanks everybody for watching. Paul, I'll see you later for our post-play recording.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.